Greetings. Well, it's been a while, hasn't it? But we're working on the GY6, the Chinese moped. It's been buried in the garage for such a long time, and I thought, you know what, I want to do something on this thing now. So I've tidied the garage up a bit and I've dragged it out. Obviously, I've still got the Project Monster on the go, the little Fiat Panda, which is going to be, well, the little Fiat Panda with a big heart. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, okay, so as you can see, we've got the front mudguard on. It looks snazzy. Snazzy, snazzy. Made out, it's not tightened up yet, but it's made out of an old RAF refueling trailer, or was it a trailer that transports aircraft? I think it was a trailer that transports small RAF aircraft. It was a military, originally a military thing. The front and the rear mudguards. Nice. Just installed some bent LED lighting in here, which is quite nice. I actually went and thermal pasted all of the lights because they don't thermal paste them from the factory, and I thought that was a bit naff, really. So there's no connection between the aluminium and the LEDs. So I've put some thermal paste in them, and it should last forever, hopefully. So what have I done? Well, I've made an imitation of the Moonlander, as you can see here. This is my carburetor bracket and carburetor, of course. Oh, I do need to put a hose clamp on that. I don't want that pipe coming off anytime soon, that intake pipe. At least it's not pressurised, but still. I did have to bend it a little bit to get it into shape, but it doesn't really matter. I've got my glass fuel filter, beautiful fuel filter, up and running. Well, up and running, I've got it fit and ready to go. I've started to wrap the wiring. This is just the standard wiring coming out of the stator, and I've wrapped it in this cotton tape, which is sticky backed. I actually bought it from a place in Nottingham. There's one in Derby/Ripley called there's two actually. There's two places, Derby, Ripley, or Peashill, I think they call it, and there is one in Nottingham, and it's called Anchor Supplies. It's actually pretty much an army surplus place, really. They buy scrap military things and sell it to the public. Quite nice. Not much in the terms of useful stuff, but I did get some nice small ammo boxes. Let's just pan around this area. Yeah, there you go. Some of those. They had a box of, how thin they are. They had a box of, how many was there? There was four on this like little metal box thing. That was the lid to it. And I thought to myself, you know what? That lid would make a very nice kick plate. So I'm going to buy that because the boxes might be useful too. Oh yes, and we've got the exhaust. I don't know why my camera's acting up. We've got the exhaust on the go and all. As you can see, this is one of those GP style generic stainless steel exhausts that you get off eBay for the GY6. And it comes with a bracket that you're supposed to have it, and it's supposed to come here, and it comes up like that. And I'm like, no, that doesn't look old-fashioned. We want it to look old-fashioned. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's quite low to the deck, but the tyre's flat. The tyre's very flat, actually. I didn't put any air in these tyres on purpose. But the tyre's flat, so it's quite low. And I might get that scraping a bit. Maybe, but we'll see. Maybe I might get some scrapage on that, but we'll see. I might put a little bend, kink that there, and put a bend in this so it bends it and brings the whole thing up a little bit. We'll see. We'll see. I'll do that if it needs it. If not, it can stay as it is. That is my attempt at stainless steel welding. I've never done it before, and I can tell you it's nice to weld if you get the welder set up right. I'm only running CO2, which didn't work well. Don't care about how it looks. I mean, it's all discoloured because I did try and heat this pipe up first to try and take this 45-degree bend out of it and just hopefully get it in the vice and bend it, but I ended up just kinking it and doing all sorts of stuff. So I ended up just sawing it, grinding it and welding it together in that position, and it worked fine. Don't really care about that, because one thing I am doing, knocking the camera is one of them, I'm wrapping it. I'm wrapping it in this tape. I think it's just standard tape, but I'm going to wrap it in this, and then I'm going to spray over this in matte black high temperature paint. Because one of the things I was watching on YouTube, because I've never done it before, of course, one of the things I was watching on YouTube is that this stuff doesn't last forever. It only lasts about 5 years and it starts degrading, breaking up. But if you spray paint it first with some high temperature paint, not only does it lock all the fibres together and glues everything together, so to speak, it puts like a little weatherproofing on it. Not that it really needs weatherproofing, but it's all in the aim to try and make it live a little longer. And that's what we're going to try and do. I don't know if this camera's actually working properly or not. It's the screen keeps going off for some reason. It's been a while since I've used this camera. What else? Nothing much really. I don't know if you saw, but I've mounted the rectifier here. Nice big rectifier for the 3-phase generator that I've put in this thing. My electronics are going to go all in here, in a little pot. I was kind of hoping that I could get one of those things in there and get that working, but I can't, sadly. I've done a bit of modification on one of these lights. That's going to be my rear light. And normally they sit like that, these rear lights. They look a little bit like the face of the what's it called? The Sentry robot on Fallout 4. But I took all this apart, and as you can see, if I do it that way around, the null plate's there. That's because I've modified it so it sits horizontally instead of vertical. I think, personally, that looks way better vertically. Sorry, horizontally. Sorry. That looks way better horizontally than vertically. Also looks a little bit like a blackout light, which obviously, if this thing is going to be was used in wartime, a blackout light is something that it would have had. So that's the plan with that. Make it look a little bit like a blackout light, but keep it legal, having the number plate light still at the bottom. I do have I've got my indicators and things, which I've given the same treatment. And you'll notice that the spray job I've done on these is not too bad. Now, would you be so shocked if I told you that this isn't spray? This is me using a brush, and I've managed to get this effect literally just by dabbing it on. This military paint is something else. It's really good stuff. Someone's got a big bike out there, or a car or something. Always a bit of a run there. Not really fussed though. But yeah, that was originally black, and I've painted the inside just a bit, just to stop any surface rust. But yeah, I think that's quite nice. A bit of a dent on the back, but I don't care about that. This thing's probably going to end up getting way more dents than that anyway. If I can get the hook on, there we go. And they've obviously got the front fascia ring there for it, and some other stuff. Got my seat up there, look. I ran out of hooks, so I couldn't do all of my indicators all at once, but it's good enough. And that's about it at the moment. My speedo cable that I bought for this wasn't long enough. It was only a 35 or 34 inch cable, which means my speedo would have been here. And although that would have looked cool, it's not in the eye. You need it high up because to see what speed you're doing. Not that it really matters, because this thing's probably only going to have a top speed of like 30 miles an hour, being 50cc, but it'll do the job. I still have my. I did find that at the scrapyard and thought, my god, that looks cool. That's an old Halon fire extinguisher. They're not really legal to use anymore in the country. It's still charged. Well, they're not legal to make anymore in the country because Halon is dangerous to the environment and whatnot. But do you know, I thought, mount that somewhere, paint it in military colours and put some stenciling on that. That's going to look mint, that is. So yeah, we'll keep that, and we'll have that on the bike, and it'll also be a functional prop, so to speak. So quite nice. You should see what I've got planned for the air intake on this thing, for the you know, the air intake system. I don't know where I put the hose now, but basically it's going to be like a corrugated pipe clipping onto this 90 degrees straight down into here, and it's going to come here through this gap. It's going to worm its way up here, and it's going to sit about here, a big airbox made out of a Mark IV standard issue British gas mask. Not the gas mask itself, just the pipe that comes down from the gas mask and goes into the filter that you would carry on your belt or in your bag. It's not the real deal, sadly. It's one that I've had 3D printed by a chap on eBay. I don't think he wants anyone to know who he is, but I tell you, this guy deserves the custom because he's a good bloke. He custom made this thing for me. And literally, if you was to Google or look on eBay for, say, military 3D printing, I think it is, or gas mask 3D printing, seriously, just Google that. You'll probably see the stuff he does. It's really good stuff. I really recommend the guy, and I really think he should get more business because he is cheap. I only paid 25 quid for this and all the custom made stuff, and I tell you, it was a bargain. Please don't put your price up if you're watching this, because I really want more stuff from you, especially your Piet anti-tank rifle rounds. I think a couple of those on here is going to look pretty good. But yeah, that's good. I hope you like my little things I did on the to hold the mudguard in. So the way I got that effect was I got the piece of steel and got another piece of bar the same size, and literally sat the bar on top of the steel just wide enough to open, and hammered it, and it hammered the steel to this right shape, and left the, you know, and made a nice little like dip, not dip, but peak like that, which the steel sits in just right. And the first attempts, I actually managed to snap the steel in half, the little plate that I made there. Now, I was a bit iffy on pot rivets because they didn't really have them in wartime England, but it's easy, and I don't really have any small nuts and bolts that size, so it'll do for now. I know it's not legit, but it'll do for now. And besides, I am thinking of putting a little pouch here or something, like a little toolkit or maybe a med pack or something in there. Originally I wanted the headlight to be mounted here, but the problem with that is the vibration from the wheel might kill the bulb. I'm only using a filament bulb in this, not LEDs or anything. I've decided I'm not running LEDs on this bike. As much as I wanted LEDs, it's not period to the bike, and it won't look right unless I like wire in dimming circuits and things, so when the bulb flashes or turns off, the light dims down, or then gradually fades to full brightness, not fades, builds up to full brightness, or fades to off, if that makes sense. There is LEDs in this, and they're in this fan here, just zip tied in with these zip ties, and it's just an amber LED ring, which is cool. It's a novelty, but I can or cannot use that. It's we'll see. I only put it in there as a bit of a joke. I've got a spare fan cover anyway, so we'll see how it is. I'm actually using all stainless bolts on this. Got a load of stainless 10mm and 13mm bolts from work, M6s and M8s thread, standard pitch, which is nice, and I'm putting all stainless in this. I know that the captive in the frame is all mild steel, but it's got to help, hasn't it, if ever I take it apart in the future. I have actually bolted this in, unfortunately. Now I can't tip my thingy forward all the way because it hits the carb. I may sort of think about getting a different carburetor at some point for this, a slider carb maybe, rather than a vacuum one. But we'll see. We'll see. It's that's modification territory, that is, for when I've got it on the road. I do need to tighten the back wheel up because obviously that's loose. But I've got to take the exhaust off to wrap it. Anyway, I think that's about it. I've got a box down here full of cool stuff. I've got hole saws, the right size for my gauges and things, so I can eventually make my dashboard, which I did have cut out, and then I decided that I'm not going to use that dashboard because it's just too small. I don't know where it is now. Ah, there it is, look. So yeah, my little dashboard, which was going to look like that, and then in the top gap just up there I was going to put all of my telltales, maybe a couple of switches, I don't know. But obviously I've got to build a box to the back of that, and you know what, I think I'm going to build it square. I'm not going to curve the edges, I'm going to build it square. Function over form. And yeah, I just did that freehand. I didn't measure it, anything. You can tell. But it was just a little bit of a guess and a trial while I thought of something better. If this would free up one-handed. Spin that around so it's the right way around. I was going to show you how it was going to look. That sits in there. Let's tighten that up a little bit. There we go. So it was going to sit in there at a bit like that angle. There's a bit of a gap at the sides, but I was just going to play around with that. And I think that would have looked not quite neat like that. But I think if I do a square top, square edges... another thing I was thinking of doing was like down here in this dip, put gauges there and one the other side. But I don't know, because obviously I've got to put my brake cables and switches and levers and things on here. And I would like to put mirrors on it, even though it's not a legal requirement. But I might put the brackets for the mirrors on it, just to fill the gaps. My aim of the game is to have no silver on this thing showing, because obviously anything reflective is bad news when you're trying to hide from the enemy, so to speak. So the carpet's going to be covered, so that's going to be nice. I don't know what I think I'm just going to use a bit of Hessian cloth or something to cover that up. We'll see. We'll see. What else have I got? Yeah. Oh yeah, there's my bracket. Ah yes, and there's my period, I do believe. Handles, the grips. Obviously that's all going to get painted, but yeah, I think that's going to look pretty good sat on top of there. Trying to do this one-handed is difficult, I will admit. I put a bit of grease under that so it moves around nicely. But yeah, I think that looks pretty good, don't you? Vroom, vroom, vroom. Yeah. So yeah, it's going on, and it's a bit of a project. Anyway, that's enough rambling, isn't it? It's probably going on for 18 minutes, this has. I talk too much, don't I? Let's get on with it. Let's do some work. Thanks for watching. Peace out.